What is up, everybody, and welcome to today's video. I'm a little bit back on the saddle here. I'm hanging out with Toast. Yes, good girl. I'm going to be honest, feeling a lot better. It's really nice. You know, everything takes time, and healing is one of those things that takes time. But overall, feeling better, which is very cool. But on top of that, I wanted to talk about something a little important to me today, something that I think is a topic that has gotten a lot of attention online, and I've seen a ton of videos about, and I've seen a lot of people with really strong opinions on it, and I kind of get it, and I kind of don't at the same time. And this is going to lead into another video that I'm probably going to record today, which is less about this specific issue and more about the Balisong community as a whole dealing with issues similar to this. But today I wanted to talk about why the Mako V4 doesn't suck. And also why it does suck, because it both sucks and doesn't suck. It's both at the same time. And I know that might be hard to understand, but I promise we'll get there. Okay, so the first thing is that there has been a ton of criticism levied against the Mako V4, right? And so if you watched our Mako V4 review, I need you to know, first of all, that obviously we did a bend test in that review. And people were saying, oh, well, you didn't try to bend it enough, or you didn't bend it in the right way, or bend it in the right spot. We tried everything. I swear to God, it's like a 5-minute section of the video that we cut down to a few seconds because we literally sat there trying to break it for quite a while. And so that's something that I just did want to bring up as, like, that is a legitimate thing that we did attempt to do. There was no trickery or anything like that. You can see this is the spot. It does have the mark inside the handle from where the thing hits. And I have tried to break it multiple times. You can see I am putting in a lot of effort to genuinely break that, and I cannot do it. But just because I can't, because people were saying, oh, you're not supposed to push this way, you're supposed to push this way. Well, I've tried both, believe me. But people, I think it's fair to say that just because I can't break mine does not mean other people's haven't broken. And so that's the big thing, is at the time that we recorded that review, right? Because it actually took a little bit, you know, it took about a month, honestly, between us recording that review and then that review actually getting uploaded. Maybe it was even 2 months, Jesus. But it was a while because I had to edit it. There's a lot of stuff going on. We had to make a lot of different things. There was just a lot going on. It was the holidays. You get it, right? Like, you know, that review took a while to get up. And so when we recorded the review, I had heard about the handle bending issue, but I had not seen any of the pictures of people posting their Mako V4 having shattered in half. Right? That's a big problem. That is a legitimate issue. If I was to drop this onto concrete or whatever, and it, you know, broke in half, I would be pretty upset about that. And so I can very much understand why people are upset about that. However, I do want to bring up that also, while yes, this is an issue and people have genuinely experienced their Makos snapping in half, Squid Industries has said that they will replace your Mako if it fails, okay? So if your Mako does break in this way, which Squid Industries has recognized is their mistake, that they will replace your Mako for you, you know? So, like, I understand the point of, like, well, they shouldn't have to. Because, yes, that's true. They shouldn't have to do this. But from my count, from what I was looking at the other day, I believe somebody said that it is up to 7 Makos that have snapped in half. Now, let's put that number into context, right? Because they have made thousands of Makos at this point, right? I don't know exactly how many, but they do runs of a large number of these guys. And before that, what they do is they test all of them, right? So the way that the production process works for something like this is that they'll go through months of designing and testing. So they'll design an item like this, and then they'll spend forever testing it over and over again, figuring out exactly how they want it to work and making sure that it doesn't break in a way that is bad, right? Like, they do stress test these things, and they do so for months. And so when you look at the amount of these that have made it onto shelves, into people's hands, the amount of these that they have created versus the amount that have failed in this way, which as far as I am aware, currently there's about 7 that have snapped in half, which I am not trying to say isn't a big issue. I'm saying it is a big issue. But what I'm also saying is that it's understandable that Squid didn't know that that could happen. And the reason for that is very simple. If only 7 of the thousands that they made of this have snapped in half, then you have to understand that while they were testing, there's almost no way. That is such a low percentage of Balisongs, of the Mako V4 to have that issue where it snaps in half. That is such a low percentage that it's almost impossible that they would have caught that issue before it reached full-scale production. Do you understand what I mean? Essentially, because only 7 in, however many they've actually made, which is a lot, that's probably a 0.01% style issue, right? Probably, I don't know how many of these they've made, but I'm certain that it's a very, very low percentage, below 1% of them have broken this way, right? That's a very, very minor issue in terms of the amount of the issue. And so it would be almost impossible for Squid to catch this issue before the knife went into production because they didn't have enough of the knives to know that a very small amount of them could fail in this way. Right? So that would be the reason why Squid has not or didn't know about this issue. It's not like they knew about the issue and then they released the knife and were like, hey, it's gonna break and people are gonna hate that. That's stupid. That they didn't do that. That's not how that works. Instead, they released the knife, and then people had the breaking issue, and Squid was like, oh, damn, that sucks. If you need to, message us, and we'll replace your knife, right? It's not like they're not doing their due diligence. They understand that there is an issue, and they are working to actively solve it for the people that have had this problem, right? And so, not only is there that, but then, on top of that, everyone knows that Squid Industries has been a part of the Balisong community for a long time, right? They've been in it, and Lucas, the CEO of Squid Industries, literally is the guy that is running the Balisong Reddit. He's there. He's the one that basically started r/Balisong. At least he's the person that turned it into what it is today. So he has an ear to the community. He's not just some dude designing Balisongs for sales or profit or whatever. He's designing Balisongs because he loves Balisongs. That's the whole point of it all. And he's always listening to the community. And so, sure, yes, I get it. There are people that want the Mako to go back to being sandwich. But there's also a lot of people who wanted the Mako to be channel. And there's a lot of people who like it channel. And so Lucas has to work with both audiences. But on top of that, I think it's very important to realize that, yes, this has that breaking issue, but I guarantee you right now, Squid Industries is working on fixing that. That's why they release incremental updates to your knives. You remember the Crackerakin V1, and then they released the Crackerakin V2.5, which I have right here. This is the Crackerakin V2.5, and it has a lot of design changes that are relatively small, but that fix a lot of issues on the Crackerakin that people had with the original Crackerakin. And he updated it relatively quickly, after the first Crackerakin launched. So yes, sure, they, do test all of their products before releasing, but once again, as I said, Squid Industries has 20 employees overall, right? So that's at most, if you have every single person, testing your product, you have 20 people testing your product. And I guarantee you not every single employee there is going to be testing the product. So the amount of people that they actually have available to, test these products, it's not like Benchmade where they have a whole R&D department that can, work on products and send them out to people and make sure everything's good and get just tons and tons and tons of feedback and stress tests and making sure every little thing is perfect. No, Squid Industries is so small that they do have to rely on the community's feedback to make improvements to their products. And I believe, I'm certain, as a matter of fact, that that's exactly what is happening. They are currently in the works, I guarantee you, making some sort of solution to this problem, because I would be absolutely shocked to find out that they weren't. And on top of that, they already are offering a temporary solution, which is, hey, if it breaks, we'll fix it. We'll replace it for you. Like, it's not like you're left high and dry in the dust. I absolutely understand that if you pay over $100 or around $100 for a Balisong, it shouldn't shatter in your hands. I get that. I very much understand. I understand why people are angry. I understand why people are upset. But you need to also understand the reverse. Right? Like, it's not just a black and white issue. There are levels of gray here, and there's a lot of stuff behind that. And part of the big thing that I think is important is the way that companies respond to the issues, right? And so obviously when an issue like this happens, if you had a bigger company that didn't care about the Balisong community, they would just keep going. But instead, what Squid Industries is doing is not only working to fix the problem in the short term, but also I'm certain, because of their previous history, that they're working to fix the problem in the long term as well. And so that's why I think it's very important to understand the context of this kind of stuff. I see a lot of people spouting very black and white opinions about things where they're like, oh, this knife sucks, or this thing sucks, or this maker sucks, or this thing is the best thing ever. And it's just like, in general, that's not the way that the world works. Like, yeah, you can have your hard opinions about specific things, but also, like, not everything has to be it either sucks or is great. Sometimes things are just kind of good, but not great. Like, it's okay for something to be good in some ways and bad in others, and it's also okay for something not to fit exactly what you specifically like. But you know, going after other people, being really mean to Lucas for no reason, or the employees at Squid Industries, and just being really mean and toxic about it, or just being mean and toxic about other things in general, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. That's just not the point of what we're doing here, right? Like, the point here is to gather around and have a really good time flipping our Balisongs, and there's just so much toxicity and people getting up in arms about the smallest, silliest things. And this is not a small issue. I understand that. I absolutely get it. These shattering in half is crazy, but it's also a tiny issue in the grand scheme of things, because only a few of them have done it compared to the massive amount that have been made. And then on top of that, Squid is willing to fix it. And they're currently fixing it. So it's just one of those things where I don't get the undue hatred of people being like, oh, Squid Industries is the worst company ever, and they released this product that blows up in your hand intentionally, and everybody is dying because of it, and suddenly it's the worst thing in the world. And it's that is so off base and not related to anything, and I just don't understand why there are so many people with takes like that. I don't know. It's just something that I've been noticing a lot. And sure, that's partially about the Mako V4, but it's about a lot of things. I've just seen a lot of weird negativity from people in the community, and I wanted to talk about that. So yeah, that's what my next video is going to be. It's going to be me talking more specifically about negativity in the Balisong community and why the Balisong community is a little bit angry sometimes, and I don't get it totally, but whatever. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Mako V4. I think, I still personally really like flipping it. I think it's a very good update to the Mako. I was never a fan of the Mako when it was sandwich designed, though I absolutely understand that some people were. I don't think it was a bad knife at all, but for me, it just wasn't my favorite Balisong that existed, but it was cheap. And this one is still pretty cheap, and I think it flips fantastically, and you can tune it very well and get all the tap and the play out of it if you want to, and that's pretty freaking cool. But it does have an issue where very, very, very rarely it will shatter in half, and that sucks. But if it does, you can reach out to Squid Industries and they'll fix it. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the Mako V4, updated for some of the information I've learned in a little bit more of a modern perspective than a few months ago when I first made, the script for that review. So there you go. Merry Christmas. Have some info. We're hanging out with Toast, aren't we? What's up, Toast? Yes. Oh, you're such a good baby girl. All right, that's pretty much it for this one. I'll see you guys later, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.